Mhm.
Fundamental questions are only five. Why this university? Why this course? Why this country? How
Mhm.
will you manage your finance? And the last one is your future goal, your career goal.
Okay. Right.
So these are the five questions which usually being asked.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Yollab Central. Today, I'm joined with Braj. So, Braj, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about this conversation today?
Yeah, thank you so much, Aditya, and all the audience to hear us today. My name is Braj, and I'm in overseas education industry since last 17 years. And recently, we all have seen that India has surpassed the number of students going abroad to studies. So
Right.
that means the maximum number of students, international students, those who are going to study into say UK, USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, they
Mm.
are coming from India.
Right.
So, and these days, majority of the students where are they from? Maybe from earlier it used to be, Aditya, that students from rich background
Hmm.
or a healthy, wealthy background, they used to go to study abroad. But nowadays,
Right.
everybody wants to go
Yeah.
tier two, tier three, all the
Right.
students they want to go. They have a dream. So
Yeah.
this conversation is going to benefit all of them, all
Mm.
of them.
Right.
So I think all the students, those who are aspiring for higher studies,
Hmm.
may that be to abroad or within the country,
Hmm.
this conversation is definitely going to benefit them from our experiences.
Okay, so Braj, where do you want to start this conversation, right? Is it like about the basics as to getting finances or preparing for exams or preparing for interviews? Where should we start?
Wherever and however you want, Aditya, you are the
Okay, so let's talk about the basics, right? There are specific exams that students have to give, right? And different countries have different requirements. But the countries that you talked about, UK, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, USA, okay, they have different requirements. So, should students actually be targeting specific countries to go to, or should they stick to the exam and take whatever goes with the exam?
students do both ways.
Mm-hmm.
First they look at exams and they see that which exam do I am I being able to crack, and then
Right.
accordingly they finalize the destination. But what I suggest from my experience is that
Mm-hmm.
first they need to identify the university,
Right.
then the country, and
Mm-hmm.
then the exams.
Right.
Because if I go to UK,
Mm-hmm.
there are more than 150 public universities. If
Right.
I go plan to go to USA, there are more than 1800 public universities only in
Correct.
United States, then private universities, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not be in every university. So I have
Correct.
to study in a particular university, a particular course. So from there, we student need to start searching for it,
Mhm.
and then accordingly, which country and which all are the exams required for
Mhm.
that.
Now, the thing is, a lot of students also have a particular course in mind, right? And a lot of them do, but sometimes, as you mentioned, like, right, students just aspire to go out. So it's like, I'll
Yeah.
give an exam and whatever course I get, I'll get it, take it in a foreign university. Is it a good strategy that it's the aspiration is just to go out and study in a foreign university? Is that useful, or is it becomes a problem down the line? Because if you don't get the correct course, you might not be able to get a job later, something of that sort.
If you see, Aditya, in your question, you already have replied to it. That is going to be a problem
Right.
if you do not plan it well.
Mm-hmm.
If for just for the sake of going abroad, if you are
Hmm.
going, then
Yeah.
you are going to have lot of problem, lots of problem.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I have seen some videos, and it's been years. We have been seeing videos that
Mm-hmm.
some students are not doing good there.
Right.
Some students are sleeping on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Some students are just getting the visa and not
Yeah.
enrolling to the university. They just
Yeah.
they just get vanished into that country.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these problem, like recently I have seen that some students were deported from United States.
Yeah. That's
Why
right.
were they deported? Because they were not probably they were not adhering to all the rules and requirement of the university
Mm-hmm.
or the visa.
Yeah.
If they would do everything right, then any government cannot do wrong with them.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they do wrong? Because they did not have plan in their mind. They did not know
Yeah.
what do they have to go to. They did not had a goal in their mind. So
Yeah.
in such situation this happens. So
Right.
that's why they need to plan. If they don't plan, then they are wasting their money, they are wasting their time, they are wasting the dream of their parents.
Right.
All of these things happen.
Hmm. Now, when it comes to, okay, there we've talked about aspiration. Now, let's talk about the finance itself, right? Getting to a good university and then finding a financier, a bank, or something that will give you a loan. Okay. Now, you have a loan to study, and then you also have to repay the loan. Now, this return on investment thing that obviously a lot of students look at. How do you look at it, and how do you help students find the right university which will probably give them a good return on investment?
Yes, so these days I have seen, Aditya, that students are pretty smart.
Uh-huh.
They know, if they are not getting return, usually they don't go.
Right.
And most of the time, that's why you see last 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
many students are opting to go to UK because UK has introduced post-study work visa.
Okay.
Now, if you see last 1.5 year,
Mm-hmm.
students have refrained going to United States
Mm-hmm.
because of the rule changes, uncertainty,
Yeah.
political instability. So
Mm-hmm.
students are smart. They know that from where are they getting return. And in education loan, there is one thing which is called moratorium period.
Right.
So students start repaying the loan after 1 year or 2 year after completion of their course.
Right.
So they are mostly choosing such university or such country as a destination
Mm-hmm.
where they can study well, they can get a good job, so
Right.
that they can start earning in pounds or in dollars.
Yeah.
And that's why most of the students they are being able to repay the loan.
Mm-hmm. From your experience that you mentioned you've been in this industry 17 years, how's the UK currently panning out, right? Because it's becoming a better alternative. Just that just a couple of days ago, Trump released this order with H-1B and everything. So, have you seen a surge in applications, or are you forecasting something like that happening in the UK or any other European countries, probably?
For UK, I would say in 2019, towards the
Mhm.
end of 2019, if I'm not wrong, it was in October 2019 when government in the United Kingdom has introduced new graduate route. They call it post-study work visa is called
Yeah,
new
yeah,
graduate.
yeah.
So when they announced it, before that, in a year from India itself,
Hmm.
35,000 students used to go to UK to study.
Right.
Nowadays, you see more than 3 lakh students they go.
Oh,
So,
right.
gradually they have seen the surge because of, again, as you started with the returns. So they are
Hmm.
getting 2 years post-study work visa. They are
Yeah,
sure that, after completion of the study, I would be working there for minimum 2 years.
right. Hmm.
And then after, if they are good, they will get, tier two, which is the work visa in United Kingdom.
Okay.
Similar thing is going on with other countries in Europe. So
Hmm.
there are multiple countries which are coming as an option, as an alternate to United States.
Okay.
But USA has always been, cherry on the top.
Right.
So whenever rule a bit favors the students,
Hmm.
their first preference becomes United States. And I
Yeah.
don't blame them for this.
Uh, okay. So when we talk about, uh, okay, so the work that you're doing, right? How did you get into this? Is just a random question that came into my mind. How did you get into this particular industry or helping students get to where they want to go?
Yes, in fact, you would be surprised to know I have attended more than 1,000 fairs where
Hmm.
we meet hundreds of students in one day, and
Right.
such I have done many. And many parents they ask me this question that Braj, have you studied in UK or have you studied in USA? I say no.
Right.
So, like coach of Sachin Tendulkar was not himself a very good player.
Right.
He may be a very good player, but not as renowned as Sachin
Yeah.
Tendulkar or Vinod Kambli was. So I wanted to study abroad when I was a kid. But
Hmm.
at that time, Aditya, there were no platforms like the platforms which we get today.
Yeah.
There were no agencies,
Mhm.
no education loan
Right.
consultancies were there. It
Hmm.
was very difficult to get into. There was no Google at that time,
Right.
so it was very difficult to get into an abroad university. I have seen that pain,
Hmm.
and that's why I think that I am in the very right place to guide the students. I can share this with them that what you are getting today,
Hmm.
many people have not got it.
Yeah.
So you are being fortunate, and if you got that platform, then
Hmm.
it would completely be unwise if you don't take an advantage of it. And students
Okay.
sometimes they relate with that.
Right, that's also true. So, when somebody applies, right, to these foreign universities and all these colleges, okay, there are, I mean, most universities have a standard process, but can you just lay it down that what most universities follow? Because, and there will be difference, right? There will be an undergrad process, and then there will be one for post graduation. So, can you just tell the students what the post graduation and undergrad processes look like?
India has majorly been a postgraduate market.
Right,
Students after completion of the bachelor's they go to study masters.
right.
So if I take an example of USA, for engineering courses they require any English proficiency test that can be either IELTS or TOEFL or
Mm-hmm.
Pearson test of English or any of such kind. And
Right,
then along with that, for engineering courses they require as an examination which is GRE,
right,
graduate record examination, which is required.
right.
For management related courses along with English proficiency core examinations, they require a GMAT exam, USA.
Yeah.
Some universities waive it,
Mm-hmm.
some don't.
Right.
But I suggest to students that if you are planning for a good university in the USA, you
Mm-hmm.
need to give these examinations
Okay.
so that you will have ample of options. Then it is up to you which
Okay.
university you want to go to.
Right.
In the same way, other countries like Australia, like United Kingdom, Ireland, these countries do not require GRE for their engineering
Right.
courses,
Mm-hmm.
masters. So only on the basis of English proficiency test you can
Yeah.
get an admit into these.
Mm-hmm.
Some universities into these countries other than USA may require GMAT for MBA,
Mm-hmm.
but most of the universities don't require GMAT either.
Okay.
So students need to finalize, which destination are they targeting to, and
Okay.
then accordingly start preparing for the examinations, I would suggest.
Okay. Now,
And for undergrad,
yeah, yeah.
Aditya, I'm so sorry.
No, no, it's
For
okay.
undergrad, though it is not a very big market,
Okay.
uh, but in USA, there is an examination called SAT.
Yeah.
There's no full form to it. Earlier, it used to be Scholastic Examination Aptitude,
Uh-huh.
but now there is no full form to it. So SAT exam they student need to give along with English proficiency test.
Okay.
Other countries than USA do not require SAT too. So only English proficiency test which they need to give.
Okay, okay. Now, are there any interviews involved? Because I don't know some specific universities have interviews, but in general, what kind of interviews should candidates expect?
Some universities, you rightly mentioned that they require an interview,
Mm-hmm.
and in those interviews, there are five basic things which a university wants to know,
Okay,
and primarily they want to know the intention of the student, whether or not the student is a credible student. So
right.
when they try to find out this, they first, they may ask you multiple questions, but the
Mhm.
fundamental questions are only five. Why this university, why this course, why this country, how
Mhm.
will you manage your finance, and the last one is your future goal, your career goal.
Okay, right.
So these are the five questions which usually being asked.
Okay. Now this is very specific, right? Why do you want to join us? Why? I mean, it's like joining a company, right? Why do you want to work with
It
us?
is.
What are your future
It
plans?
is.
Something of that sort.
It shows your intention. So if
Right.
if a university professional, if they ask me that,
Mm-hmm.
Braj, why do you want to join a particular university? And
Mm-hmm.
in that, if I tell them that, I have seen your university, I have seen the course, I know the modules, because I
Yeah.
wanted to study something specific, which I'm getting in
Yeah.
your university.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting at the same, in other universities.
That's right.
So by asking this one question, is now the interviewer is satisfied that
Yes.
student has done a credible, research. So
Yeah.
that's what they want to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've talked about this. Let's talk about, I don't know, we mentioned it somewhere in between about the uncertainty across. Okay, but before I get to that uncertainty, I want to ask you one question. Wherein a couple of years ago, right before COVID, a few foreign universities, specifically, I think from US and one or two from the UK as well, had opened branch offices or satellite universities or campuses in India. They had plans to do something like that. What are your views on that? And should students look at those universities as a window to getting to that? home university?
It's a very good question,
Hmm.
and thank you for asking this, Aditya. There are two different type of setup which
Hmm.
universities are finding
Yeah.
in local city.
Hmm.
So, for example, some universities, like for example, University of Chicago,
Yeah.
University of Southampton. Southampton is in United Kingdom. Chicago would be United States. They have opened their branch itself.
Yeah.
So it's one of the branch is in India.
Hmm.
So some universities plan like that. Some university, what do they do is they develop a transnational education system. So
Hmm.
they call it TNE. So
Hmm.
by that, say for example, there are some universities which are providing a degree,
Hmm.
along with say Tapur University or Galgotia University
Right.
in India. So
Hmm.
students are studying in Galgotia University. This is just an example,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but they are getting a degree from university somewhere based in UK, some top
Okay.
notch university from there.
Okay.
But even though what is in the mind of the students here is that if I want to study in University of Chicago, why would I study in Delhi? I
Right.
would go to United States to study. So
That's right.
this is flourishing in some countries like like Nepal, like Sri Lanka. In
Hmm.
India, it still needs to get a pace,
Hmm.
because in India our mentality is that if I am paying that much money, so my
Yeah.
students should go abroad to study. That's a
That's
matter of pride. Somewhere
yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Somewhere it is.
Okay. Now, if you had to bust some myths, right, that is associated with going out and studying, okay, studying in a foreign university, I don't know about glamour or new city, hi-fi lifestyle or something of that sort, what would you tell new students who are thinking of going outside?
I would first say don't see the glamour.
Hmm.
First, see the budget.
Right.
Speak to the parents first,
Yeah.
because if they don't plan it in that way, what happens is that they just somehow they arrange money to get visa.
Hmm.
They get to that country, they get to that university, but they do not have enough plan to survive in there.
Right.
And that is where they get distracted from the studies.
Uh-huh.
So don't get into this glamour. Countries, other countries, abroad country. I have lived in UK for quite a long time.
Hmm.
So I know that, and I've been to USA, different universities. They used to call me,
Hmm.
come and see my university, and then guide the students. So I
Okay.
have done all of those. I have seen the life students are spending there very closely.
Hmm.
What I suggest to them that don't see the glamour,
Hmm.
see your future, see yourself first.
Hmm.
And if your future and yourself, what you are today, if those are not aligned,
Yeah,
there is no point going in there.
true. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, even if you try to go for post graduation here in India itself, there are a lot of universities. But if the course does not align with what you want to do, there's no point doing it
True,
here or doing it outside.
true,
Does not
true.
make sense, right? It's just that people
Yes,
want to go outside because they want to go outside sometimes.
yes.
Okay. Now, so let's get back to the uncertainty. Okay, now Trump did this with H-1B visa, and they've been continuously doing it with students who are not following or just falling in track with the political agenda, right? Probably US has deported quite a few students who were supporting Palestine and in other different ways, right? Violent ways or something of that sort. So obviously that is one thing students should not be doing. Uh, but obviously freedom of speech becomes a thing. So how do you suggest students to manage this uncertainty? And if they have
First
certain
of all,
political afflictions, right?
um, what I suggest that students are emotional.
Uh-huh.
They get carried away with the emotion. So
Hmm.
if they see that some people are being suffered,
Hmm.
so they try to relate themselves
Yes.
with those, and then they become a part of it. They should not, because in India we have freedom of speech,
Hmm.
but freedom of speech in India would be limited to somebody who is from Iran, for example.
Hmm.
So if I am in United States, or if I'm in any other country for that matter,
Hmm.
and if I do not respect the culture there, so
Right.
that means I'm not doing a justice with them. would we, as an Indian, we both are,
Hmm.
would we want that, somebody who has come from some other country to study in our country,
Yeah,
and now they are being a part of some political rallies,
yeah,
would we appreciate that? So
that's
it's the same
yeah.
way. You have gone to study there, focus on your studies. If
Hmm.
there is any problem coming in, in on your way to study, if that
Yeah,
is hampering your studies, then there is a university, there is a system, take their help, seek their help, but it should be completely aligned to your studies. It
right.
should not be aligned with any political agenda of anyone. And as a student, I believe they should not be having any political agenda, because you have gone to any country just to study. Your visa is for a limited period, and
Yeah,
your visa is a study visa.
that's right.
You are not going to live there. It is not,
Yeah,
you have not got the citizenship.
yeah.
So there is a difference in those. The students should always keep
Hmm.
this reminded in their mind, because they have gone there with a very good dream, not with
Yeah,
only their dream, their
yeah,
parents' dream, their relationship. Everyone is vouching on them, so
right.
they need to be acting responsible.
Hmm. That's true. So a lot of this affliction and emotion sway comes from social media, right? So have you seen students following or propagating this, or are universities using any methods to limit this uh, social media activities from students? Have you seen something?
I have seen some, I have recently, I've just watched some news and some reels, etc., where I've seen that,
Hmm.
some of the decision in United States are politically motivated,
Okay.
which is somewhere hampering students' life too.
Hmm.
If it is politically, motivated and that is affecting student, that's a shame. It should not happen. Other than that, I
Hmm.
don't see any university or any country, and I mostly deal with UK university. So I
Hmm.
don't see anywhere, they are curtailing their rights,
Right.
using social media or their freedom of speech or expression. No,
Mm.
I don't see that. But there should always be a balance. It
Right.
should not be extremist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Now, in your work, okay, have you tried spreading the word using social media? I mean, obviously, we are doing this podcast, so this will go out
Yes.
somewhere. But other than that, do students use social media as a research tool, probably, to learn about new
They are.
universities? Yeah.
They are. In fact, I was surprised to know when, like 3, 4 years ago, since 3, 4, 5 years ago, students, they find alumni of the university where they want to go to through social media,
Okay.
through groups,
Mm-hmm.
through Facebook groups, WhatsApp group, through YouTube testimonial. Now
Mm-hmm.
these days, if a student goes to study in Bangor University, where I work with, so they are making the reels, my first day in Bangor University is like that.
Yeah.
So somewhere students are getting advantage.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to study in some university, and if you want to know which all would be a good accommodation near to that, so everything is available on social media.
Yeah.
So students are getting advantage of that, and we are also doing that. In fact, I have got a very small, not as big as yours, but I've got a small, a channel on YouTube where I speak about these things. We
Mm-hmm.
do, students webinar, we record it, and then
Mm-hmm.
we publish it on our university social media handles.
Mm-hmm.
Student testimonial, we are distributing it via
Right.
social media, email campaign, etc. So yes, it is being beneficial, and everyone is using that, everybody.
Okay. So thank you so much, Braj. This was great having this conversation. It's a new type of conversation that I've also had. I've never had anybody trying to talk about how students should be going out and studying and things like that. Because I usually have leadership speakers, entrepreneurs, and something of that sort. Now I have somebody talking about students and how they should be taking up new courses, right, outside. So before we close, who are you exactly working with, and how can people get in touch with you, and let's just get to know more about you.
With God grace, if you just search my name, my parents have given me a unique name, is Braj Bhushan Jha. So if you just type it on Google, you will get all the details. I work with Bangor University, and my name is Braj. And so students will find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on, I would not say TikTok now because I'm based in India. But when
Okay.
till I was in UK, I used to have a handle in TikTok too. So
Okay.
wherever they want to get into, they can. And as you said that you have been talking with entrepreneurs, leaders. So
Mm-hmm.
if you see, you would not be finding in a year more than you know 10 lakhs entrepreneurs coming up in India.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that? It can never happen.
Mm-hmm.
10 lakhs entrepreneur in 1 year.
Right.
But more than 10 lakh students, they go abroad
Right.
in a year. More
Yeah.
than that. So, so you have touched this topic. It's a very nice topic. It
Yeah.
has got a very good reach. So, what would I expect that it should not be our last one.
Sure.
So, we will have we'll be talking about these things, some key topics which would be definitely beneficial to a majority of the crowd.
Thank you so much, Braj. Okay, one more question. Okay, since you're in this industry, right? A lot of conventions keep happening. Open houses happen across the country, right? In India specifically, I've seen ads in the newspaper of one happening in Delhi, sometimes in Mumbai. So, where are these open houses usually happening? Where are the major centers where universities come together and then do an open house, and all of these universities can be found in the same place?
Yes, so most of earlier it used to be some agencies doing that, like British Council is doing it,
Mm-hmm.
Education USA is doing it.
Yeah.
But nowadays, universities are reaching to all tier two, tier three cities, and
Right.
most of the students they are going abroad through consultancies, through agencies,
Mm-hmm.
and almost all of such agencies. I would not like to take names,
Mm-hmm.
but just type consultancies, abroad education consultancies in each city they conduct education fairs. So
Right.
nowadays they don't need to go to New Delhi or to any a metro city to attend such fairs. Fairs are happening within their city. And
Yeah.
more than that, almost all the universities, they also have their virtual fairs.
Right.
So
Yeah.
students, what do they need to do is just register yourself. Then that's it.
Yeah.
University will keep sending you emails of their open houses, which is virtual.
Yeah.
Just go there, participate, and whenever they are visiting, they send emails to all the inquirers that
Mm-hmm.
my university representative is going to be in Coimbatore, in
Right.
Chennai, in New
Yeah.
Delhi, like that.
Mm.
Wherever you are, go meet them.
Okay. One last question. Okay, since we mentioned agencies and consultancies, are there any specific things that students should keep in mind before they think about taking admission via an agency or via a consultancy? Any check boxes that the agency or consultancy should match?
Yes. So first, as most of us we do, we check Google reviews, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one thing which every student should check.
Okay.
Second is that like for example, UK counselors. So
Mm-hmm.
there is an agency based in UK which is British Council.
Mm-hmm.
So they give certification to the counselor. So they should be checking whether that agency
Mm-hmm.
or whether that counselor is certified by British Council or not.
Okay.
And then after each university they have, like if a student wants to get an admit into Bangor University, for
Mhm.
example, so
Yeah.
we have listed all our registered agents name there.
Right.
So go and check and just go to the registered agents so that
Okay.
you don't get cheated. Sometimes they get cheated. So
Okay.
to avoid that, follow this route.
Okay. Thank you so much, Braj. It was great having this conversation. Sorry about those sudden questions. It's just that's how my brain works sometimes. But yeah, thanks for answering all those questions, and I'm sure a lot of students will get to know a lot from this episode. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much. And yeah,
Thank you.
before I close, the audience, if you liked what we talked about, do leave a like. The comment section is open for more questions. If you have something to add, and always open for suggestions. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel before we close. Thank you so much. Thanks you once again.